Good morning, guys. So today I'm making chicken stock. I'm going to give you a little look on what I got going on. So I've been sitting here boiling this for a few hours this morning. I also boiled this for about 4 hours last night. So I'm going to insert a clip right after this and show you the process that I did last night to put all this in the pot and what's in here. And then right after that, we're going to start draining this and canning it up. So I just started with adding a bit of water in the bottom of each pot so that as I added the other ingredients, it wouldn't burn to the bottom of the pot. And then you'll see in a second here that I add a few other things too. So I put about a rotisserie chicken in each pot. I had these left over and I put them in the freezer just for this purpose. I did put a little extra in the bigger pot, just for a little added flavor. This is a bag of vegetable scraps. It has like peppers and some onion tops and stuff like that in it. Celery, pieces of celery and stuff like that. I also kept my carrot peels. It gives it really nice color to the stock. So that's what I'm adding here. A little bit more water. I add the water throughout this whole process. So this bag here is all my onion peels and the ends of the onions. I like to cut up onions and put them in the freezer. So when I do that, I always keep them in a big bag and then I use them for my chicken stock. So that's why there's so many of them. But you can add the peels into your chicken stock as well. It gives the stock a really good flavor and a really good color. So now I'm just topping off the pots with more water and filling them completely to get the most stock out of this. It takes quite a few jugs of water to fill these pots. So I do end up cooking these that night for probably about 3 or 4 hours, and then another few hours first thing in the morning. They were really concentrated. The color of the stock ends up quite dark and it's really, really nice. Very, very flavorful. I did taste it. It's good. Okay, so I'm gonna let these cook for probably till bedtime and then I'll shut them off and put them in the fridge and we will finish the process tomorrow. Okay, so I've got this set up where I'm gonna put the peels and all that sort of stuff in here, and I'm just going to try and strain the broth through this and put it into this. So let's see how this goes. This is normally how I do it, but I'm open to suggestions if you guys have a better way to do this. This is just how I've always done it. Try to get most of the juice out here. Okay, I think I'm going to dump a bit. Okay, I think that's good for now. And then we'll go jar this part up, and then we'll do the process again. So I am going to be putting these into room temperature jars. Sometimes I put them in the oven, sometimes I don't. But I'm putting warm liquid in them, and then we're putting them directly into a warm canner, so it's okay. So all I'm going to do, I don't mind if it has a tiny bit of film on the top. That's perfectly okay for me. So now I'm just going to fill the jars. My chicken stock tends to be quite dark, mostly because of the onion peels that I put in. Very flavorful. Probably a little bit from the carrots too, the carrot peels. Making your own homemade chicken stock is cost effective, and it practically costs nothing because everything I'm using I probably would have thrown away. Chicken carcasses and leftover. I'm just going to the lip right here. You don't want to go any more than that, otherwise you might get siphoning when you're canning the chicken stock. Just going to wipe the rim. I have vinegar and water on my cloth here. I like heating my lids. Not everybody heats their lids, but I prefer to. I find it seals a little better, but that's just preference in how I was taught. Hand tight on the jar. Don't over tighten the jar. But chicken stock, making it is so simple, and it saves so much money, and cost effective. Like I was saying, most of what you would use is thrown away. Makes sense to make your own. And I find homemade chicken stock is so much more flavorful. Has a ton of flavor, specifically because of the vegetables and stuff that I stick in here. The scraps. So I had a little bit of a mishap in my freezer yesterday. I was thinking when we were moving that I should buy a freezer alarm, and I should have, and I didn't. Lesson learned. Everything in my freezer, somehow it got unplugged. Not sure how. And I didn't notice for 3 days. So everything that was in my freezer is garbage. And that includes my freezer meals and all the leftover cookie dough I had and a whole bunch of stuff. It all had to go. So I'm a little disappointed, but it is what it is. So I'll probably be doing some freezer meal videos for you guys soon and probably some cookie dough videos. I like having pre-made cookie dough in my freezer, and then I just section it into servings, and I can bake them whenever I need to, whenever I want to, and I don't have to pull out everything. So that is probably some videos that we're probably going to do coming up soon. I like having pre-made freezer meals, especially for the days that I don't feel good, or, you know, it's easier to pull out a freezer meal instead of ordering takeout. So if you're new to my channel, I do have many other canning videos that go in depth on what I'm doing here in the process. Or if you have any questions, you can leave them in the description box and I can answer them for you. I'm curious to see how many jars of stock I'm going to get. I haven't made chicken stock in probably 6 months or so. I do go through a lot of it though. Sometimes several jars per meal, especially if it's homemade soup. I like to use a lot of my homemade chicken stock for the base for my soups. So I try to make a lot and have a lot on hand. But throughout the year, I just save chicken carcasses and scraps from onions, like I buy bulk onions and then I pre-chop them and put them in the freezer. So I just keep the remnants from that and I put them in my chicken stock to help flavor it. We are going to be processing these jars in the pressure canner because this is chicken. Even though it's just stock, you still have to process it as if it was chicken. So 90 minutes in the pressure canner. I don't know if you can see in the shot or not, probably not, but I have a Presto pressure canner, an electric one. I do have previous video on that if you want to watch it. I love it. It's a fabulous canner. One of the best investments I've made, I think. The only thing that I dislike about it is I wish it was bigger. So I could do more at once, but that's about the only thing I dislike about it. I like it mostly because I don't have to watch it. With most pressure canners, you have to watch them. This one, I don't. It beeps when it's ready for the next stage, and it's really hands off. So when I'm wiping the top of the jar, I'm wiping off any residue that's on the top of the jar so that I get a good seal. I'm also checking for nicks in the jar. If there's a nick in the jar, you cannot use the jar because it will not seal properly. So after this jar is filled, I'm going to get the pressure canner going because I'm going to have to do several batches. I could pull out my stovetop pressure canner, but I just prefer to use my electric one and do it in batches. It's easier. But if you have double, definitely pull out all of them. Look at that perfect amount, 6 jars. So chicken stock has a lot of residue and oils. That's why I have vinegar on this cloth to make sure I get it perfectly clean. This is the canning process that I learned from my grandmother, so that's why I do it this way. If there's many different ways, but follow the guidelines, please. Do not water bath can everything. Not a good thing. Okay, so now I'm going to go put these in the Presto pressure canner and get that started. I have it probably about this much water in it, right up to the line. And I also have some vinegar in the water so that it doesn't create residue on my jars. There we go. Okay, now I just need to wait for the warming process and then it'll go to the next one. So in the meantime, I'm going to strain some more stock. Oh, ready for the next step. I like how nice and rich the stock looks. Looks really nice and rich. Makes good soup. Stuck together. So I'm going to fill this last jar here, and then after I'm done filling this, I will finish the rest of them off camera, and I will show you them as they start coming out of the canner, and I'll let you know how many jars I got in the end here. This was about 2 chicken carcasses and a bunch of scraps. Right now, I use these kinds of lids, Bernadine, but I have a few of them stocked, but I think once I finish going through what I have stocked of them, I think I'm probably going to switch to 4-jar lids. I've heard nothing but rave reviews about them, and I'd like to try them. So I think I'm going to switch to 4-jar lids once I'm done going through all the lids I have stocked up. So I will see you back as soon as I'm done filling everything, and I will show you how many jars we got and them coming out of the canner. Okay, so I got, these are just, they're not processed yet. These are what I got for filling the jars. So about 15 and 1/2 pint here, or yeah, half a pint and a quart, pardon me. This I'm just going to put in the fridge so I have one of my reusable lids on it. So I got 15 here and 5 that are in the canner. So altogether I got 20 quarts and this pint that I'm going to stick in my fridge. So as soon as they're done processing, I will show you them coming out of the canner, and yeah. So I am just taking the jars out of the canner here. Be very careful. Pretty hot. They should start sealing pretty quickly as they start cooling down. There we go, first batch is done. So I'm not going to show you the rest of the canning process just because it's probably going to take me quite a few more hours. So this is where I'm going to end the video today, guys. I hope to see you next time. Bye.